few media folks who want to interview or take a picture.
Some that's fun. We have no idea.
That's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Everybody's cords to each other, so it's okay.
We are family.
Well, I hope you're enjoying your stay.
Yes.
You guys are phenomenal. You shared this morning.
Thank you.
Here are 2 mics. You can take them out. You can stand. Very casual. Relax.
Hello.
Okay.
Pictures.
We're going to sneak in a few pictures of the artist, if you don't mind. Thank you so very much.
Okay. So, Devon and Megan, I'm Samuel Graham with Designer Lifestyles and the Living with Sam Graham show on 88.9 FM Chicago here. So
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice
as
to meet
well.
you.
It's Devon.
It's Devon.
Yes.
And I'm gonna need that jacket
You got it.
after you finish.
Okay, you got it.
So I would like for you to talk about what were you doing, for those of us who don't know, what were you doing before you got into the entertainment business as well as the ministry?
Wow, I mean, for me, I've been in entertainment pretty much my whole professional career.
Okay.
I started while I was going to USC as an intern for Will Smith. So I was going to University of Southern California. That's where I did my undergraduate work. And then I graduated in the year 2000 and I became an assistant there. And I started, I guess technically I started in ministry when I was 15. That's when I gave my first sermon. But then technically didn't get ordained until my early 20s, right upon graduating USC. But I never thought about doing anything with that professionally. I was only really focused on movies, and it wasn't until I got a little further into Hollywood when I started to see the merge between the two.
Okay, good. So you know Pierce? Do you know Pierce?
Pierce Austin?
Yes.
Of course.
That's acquaintance of mine.
Oh,
Tell him
yeah,
Sam
yeah.
said hello.
Of course. That's my brother.
So Megan, you know, I fell in love with you during the Eve's Bayou movie. I fell in love with you. You know, I'm a little older than you, but I still fell in love with you. So what brought you to this point? What were your, journeys to the point of where you are right now?
Right. Well, I grew up in Santa Clarita. I grew up in not a tough neighborhood or anything like that, but we were one of maybe 2 black families. So I dealt with a lot of racism growing up. Didn't necessarily grow up in the church. My mom just really encouraged us to have a relationship with God, encouraged us to really know Him on a personal level. I grew up in the business. I was kind of a nerd in school and a little bit bullied. And so my mom was just like, hey, you're not going to be the cheerleading captain and you're not going to win prom, but, you're a drama queen and you love it, so why don't you pursue that? And I did as a hobby initially and did tons of commercials, everything from McDonald's to Barbie to whatever it may be, AT&T. And then from that, you've heard the expression started from the bottom. Started from the bottom. And then from that, doing just like extra work and then, having 1 line, 2 lines, 4 lines, and then a whole scene, and I'm in 3 scenes, and then, from there on. And then growing up in the business was a very interesting experience. But what brought me to this point is I think in my early to mid 20s is probably when I struggled the most. I went through a really tough season, and at that time I had tried to be celibate on several occasions and really believed that that's what God had wanted me to do. And it wasn't until the end of my 20s where I just said, you know what, no matter what, I'm making it a point to do things differently and to do things God's way. And so I did, and as a result, not only did it bring an incredible husband, but it changed my life, it changed my career, it changed every facet of my life with my family and everything. So.
Right.
That was kind of a long version, but yeah.
No problem at all.
So, this question is going to be for Art Soul Radio. So, everything about your ministry is all about being a light in a dark place, right? And using faith. So, for artists who go into this industry and they're told you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, and then there's that pressure from people around them to be just like everybody else when art is supposed to be about being that unique individual. How do you encourage them to still shine their light even in a dark place and to still be the unique individual that makes them unique and celebrate that?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think you kind of alluded to it in the question, which is when you try to be someone else, you're not around for very long. And I think the key with any artist is to find their unique voice and their unique point of view, because that's ultimately going to be the key to their success and their longevity. So, you know, whenever I've been encouraged, different artists at various times, it's always been about, you know, resist the temptation to become, you know, a packaged product like everyone else, because God gave you a unique gift and a unique voice, and I don't believe we serve a God that requires a compromise of that gift to find success. So I think if anything, don't compromise on it and be exactly what He called you to be, and sing and write and produce the way He's called you to do those things. And if He is in it, then it will succeed. And I think that's the thing sometimes we don't want to know. Is God really in it? But the Bible says taste and see. So you got to put Him to the test.
So how hard was it for the two of you going through that particular thing about seeing it, keeping your craft authentic and just being yourself?
Yeah, and I said this earlier, for me, it was about around 19 where I just said, Lord, you know, I really want to be an actress, I want to pursue this career, but I need to know that this is what you want from me. Or if you want me to do something else, then let me know and I'll go and do that, because I want what you want from me more than what I want for myself. And so when I was really willing to put it on the altar and say that I might not be doing what I think I want to do, I might be doing something completely different, and really being okay with wanting God's best, period, is when I got confirmation that this is what I should be doing. And then I got clarity about why I should be doing it. And it's never about being famous or the accolades or whatever perks or whatever. It's about using it as a platform to build the kingdom. And it's about something that's so much bigger than me. And again, that's part of why, you know, as I go through it, you know, you have your stress, your struggles, or whatever it is, but I know that God is using me. And so ultimately I just trust Him and lean on Him.
In a way, you all talk about really heavily the difference between celibacy and abstinence. Can you talk about that for people who may not have heard or who may not have read the book yet?
Yeah, we talk about, you know, celibacy and abstinence. In our definition there, it's different. Sometimes, you know, abstinence is just because you don't have options, or you're in a season where it's just by chance you're not doing it, whereas celibacy is with a purpose. You're doing it for, you know, the higher purpose. You're doing it for God's will in your life. And abstinence usually makes it difficult for people to practice because it's just a don't. Whereas a celibacy is a choice. It's like, yes, I am choosing this for my life because I want God's best. I want health. I want peace. I want love authentically. So we looked at celibacy as being a more appropriate definition to describe the way.
My name's Tamara with Jet Magazine. This question is for the beautiful Megan. I love your beanie.
Thank you.
Because I do that all the time. I was so happy when you showed up with that. But you piggybacking off of what you said about wanting God's best. You mentioned that you dated a different type of guy than who you ended up marrying. So what did you do to get ready for God's best?
I had to be open, you know. I dated the guy with the tattoos and everything else, and that's great. You know, a lot of girls love bad boys, and that's a fabulous thing. But when it came down to who was my husband and who God had for me and who was going to love me as close to how God loves me as possible for someone that's on this planet, for someone to respect me, to look after me, to take care of me, to protect me, to help me mature, help me heal and all of that. It was a totally different type of person than what I was used to. All I had to do was be open to what God was bringing me. And the funny thing is, I was equally attracted to him as any of the bad boys. It was such a random thing. The first second I saw him, I was like, he's really cute. And then as I got to know him, you know, especially during jumping the broom, you know, I kind of had a crushy crush on him, but I was like, I have a boyfriend, so I'm like, you know. And plus he was the guy that gives you the job. He was like the boss, so it was like, we're not going there. And he was looking at me like I was the crazy actress, which is true. And that's true, all true. And then, you know, it wasn't until almost a year later where we actually did get together. But all I had to do was just be open. And also I made time where I was seeking God, not about a husband, but about what was next in my life and what I needed to be doing. And as I seeked God about what he wanted from me and not about what I wanted, is when God revealed to me what was coming next. So.
Would you briefly talk about your foundation? Or foundations?
Yeah. The Greater Good Foundation is my sister and I's foundation, and it's something that we're super passionate about. really have a heart for young women, especially in this day and age, but in general, where so much of pop culture is telling them, you got to dress like this, you got to be like this, you got to carry yourself like this, you got to hook up with this guy, you got to be jealous of that girl, you got to win, you got to make the money, and just making it about so many things that aren't important, and so many things that ultimately damage a lot of our souls and damage us as human beings, and things that take us so long to heal from, if at all. And so what we wanted to do was to create a foundation that was open in many ways. One of the things that we do is we have a curriculum in the Compton School District, and we teach kids via the arts. So like for myself, I had a lot of wisdom growing up, but I struggled with the knowledge part. I was one of those kids that really learned creatively, whereas other kids in my class were very book smart and learned that way. And so for me, having the arts was my outlet, and how I was able to download and process things, and not just process them, but also remember it, And so we do the same thing with the kids that come to the school district. We teach them art, math, science, history, all that stuff, but we teach it via the arts. So we have acting classes, we have poetry classes, we teach kids how to produce music, so many different things. And so that's one facet of it. And then we want to start doing events every year where we bring girls out, underprivileged girls who are just struggling and trying to figure out what it is they want in life and what's their purpose, and try to help them hone in on that. And not just help them, but help them make relationships and connections that will help them begin to pursue those things at a young age. They can start setting themselves in place and setting themselves up.
Last thing here I'll say is, for me, reading a book, you talk about the weight and it being think of instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So for somebody who's not necessarily looking to apply the weight to their dating life, but maybe they need to hear it for career or anything else, can you speak about why this could still benefit